I welcome all those who stayed up to the very last session. This section will be devoted to industry. Industry plays an important role in economy of the country, and we shall speak about the instruments that can help the economy of Ukraine to become more competitive, and industrial enterprises. First of all, I want to say that at the previous session, Michael Drake said briefly what UNIDO is. A similar project as we implement here is implemented in 19 countries of the world. In 10 other countries, preparations are going on. The latest was Georgia, who joined it last year. Ukraine is implementing this project in the course of 3 years. Nowadays, we can demonstrate some intermediate results. Now, with the help of our project, 5 ISO 50,000 were introduced into national standards. 7 other standards go through certification. Next year they will be adopted as national standards. We prepare industrial enterprises to introduce system of energy management in conformity with requirements ISO 50,000. This program is intended for 1 year of training, in the course of which the enterprise will realistically implement energy management system. Now 26 enterprises join the program. We have some realistic results. Some of the enterprises that introduced energy management system not certified yet, but still use of this system brought association. At least Coca-Cola always reports that they saved 2 million hryvnias only by introducing some administrative measures and use of the instrument that UNIDO provides them during training. Here in the map of Ukraine, you see locations where enterprises are by green. Red color are certification centers whose specialists were trained for energy management audit with further certification. Besides, we work with industrial enterprising, teaching them how to optimize energy consumption system. We combine in our methodology system of energy management and optimization of energy management. In some cases, it can provide us good results. 20% or up to 30% of saving use of energy resources. Besides, UNIDO is providing particular instruments, specialized software, quite easy to use, which is based on Excel tables and enables an enterprise to use regression analysis when designing both basic energy consumption line and to make forecast, and then to calculate how realistically efficiency of use of that resource has increased at your enterprise. That's it. If there are any questions, we have a website. You have our email address, telephone numbers. We are ready for cooperation not only with industrial enterprise, but engineering companies, consultants that provide advice how to build energy management system, and with other energy expert organizations.
Thank you, Alexei, for your very brief intervention. And I invite Mr. Bushma from DTEC ESCO. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to provide very short information, not many figures, not big bulks of information, but these are just a few projects which we managed to implement in the area of energy service area. Quite often the energy services are seen as purely the concern of local municipalities like kindergartens, hospitals, etc. And energy efficiency is quite often seen in the aspect of so-called budgetary sphere. I would like to prove that energy services can work in the industrial sector, in household sector, in retail sector, everywhere. There is a big market for energy services. What do I mean under energy service sector? Energy service and implementation of energy efficiency projects is possible only when there is a counting of energy resources used or consumed. This is only under condition of energy audit. When we carry out the energy audit of a kindergarten, of a hospital, it's just one very small example of energy services. So in each enterprise, in each organization where energy audit is carried out, everywhere the management gets clear understanding that energy services are good. Once I heard the opinion from such manager, we have implemented one project, one energy services project in our company, and I found out that this is very profitable, and after energy audit, I can see how I can improve my production without any cost. So what does energy service include? The guarantee of saving. Actually, ESCA company carries out all the risks. It also promises to reduce costs during the whole life of the project. ESCA is not a bank credit, and that's why there is no interest rates and other payments and fees, and no collateral to the bank. And in situation with the bank credits, not all the companies do not know how to work with them. This is a classical split of resources under standard ESCA project, the baseline, and then the saved resources are split after implementation of the contract. This is a project that we implemented in our metal processing plant of Metinvest company. So we reached 61% of saved electric energy on pumps, 3.5 million kilowatt hours, or 4.8 million hryvnia saved per year. We decreased the hazardous situations, operational cost, and also we installed the frequency converters and managed to prevent hydraulic shocks and stresses. These are stages in implementation of that project. So we identified the project, we have developed a feasibility study, verified it, the return period calculated. That stage took just up to 5 months. Another example, this is mine processing plant where we had saved energy on changing regular lamp bulbs into LED lamp bulbs. And when you look at the LED lamp, it says up to 9 times efficiency, and that's true. Then we have got up to 2 million hryvnia saved per year. Then the lighting and the illumination level increased 3 times, and this allowed to increase comfort and industrial safety for employees. Actually, this does not require any big investment from us. Ladizhinska Thermo power plant, where we changed just 40-year-old pump into DP pump produced in the Netherlands. Then we installed frequency converters and saved on electricity. We ensured more stable, more sustainable heat supply to Ladizhin town with 25,000 population. Then we ensure there is no hydro shocks, and that's why the costs are lower. And the last but not least, I would like to mention the thermo modernization of public buildings, like 2 kindergartens in Kiev. And our company was one of those who bidded for modernization of heating system in 2 kindergartens. And you see in the pictures what was done, and we saved up to 50% of heat in that kindergartens. And of course, we will not just change lamp bulbs, and of course we will not just change spare parts, but we look for innovation here. And besides that industrial sector which I mentioned, public sector which I mentioned, we offer something for households too. In Dnipro region and in the city of Dnipro, we started to offer to our consumers, to household consumers, this comprehensive solution for households. It comprises 2-zone electric meter, then a service of quick switch LED lamps, wall socket with a timer, and textbook how to save energy at household, etc. How do you confirm that actual savings based on energy consumption of smaller energy consumption were reached? I think that the best way is to request for accountability data, how much less were used or spent for energy procurement. By the way, in some regions, they put energy service contracts in Prozora portal service, and also announce bidding at the local level. What is the average period of contracts? 5-6 years, not more, as of now.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I would also like to thank, first of all, SAEE for this forum, which I find is a very important forum to discuss energy efficiency. And I would like to thank SAEE in general for their role in promoting energy efficiency in Ukraine. So I was asked to make a short presentation on incentive mechanisms for energy efficiency in companies. Why is this relevant? Why am I doing this presentation? I mean, this is part of our mission of our project, the project Energy Efficiency or Advisory Services for Energy Efficiency in Companies. It's a project that was commissioned. You can actually, next slide, please. Does it work? Because it wasn't working before. Okay. No, it's okay. And the project aims at supporting the energy modernization of selected industrial sectors of Ukraine, through which we want them to support these sectors in achieving emissions reductions. And we were going to do that through the support of the development of advisory services for companies. We intend to develop trainings on energy efficiency for companies, and develop also or provide technical and small financial assistance for the development of pilot projects, which will then support the dissemination of best practices in Ukraine. And the fourth area of activity, and that's why I'll make this short overview of incentive mechanisms, is that we want to support the relevant stakeholders in the sector in developing incentive structures and support programs. Meaning that we want to support this process through technical support, but also supporting the coordination of this process. So, just in summary, I mean, you probably all know that. But what I like about this chart, it summarizes. I got it from some international literature. It summarizes what is the universe actually for supporting and incentive mechanisms for energy efficiency in companies. I mean, it's a very blunt approach, but of course you have financial mechanisms, you have fiscal, tariff-oriented incentive mechanisms like tax deduction for businesses that implement energy efficiency. You have legislative, which could be normative, like mandatory energy audits or energy management introduction in large enterprises, and informative, like a CO2 fee for businesses as well. And you have other mechanisms like newer ones, like market approach based ones, like emissions trading scheme. In the last years, in the last decade or so, you have we can notice that there has been a focus on the promotion of energy management and energy management systems and energy audit. That basically driven by in the last year specifically by the EU Directive 27. Which makes this compulsory. So, and this is a key aspect of many supporting programs like the one we are doing here, or the Renewable approach has been very successful in introducing and supporting the introduction of these tools here in Ukraine in the last years. But there are other approaches also, like the one that has been fostered by UK, the compulsory installation of metering systems, more modern metering systems, or these industrial networks that I want to talk a little bit more about it now, because it's a key aspect also from Germany. It was a decision taken last year, and since I'm also representing the German government here, I want to highlight this a little bit. There has been a very successful pilot project introducing this approach of networking among companies from different sectors, and this was a pilot from 2008 to 2014, sorry, through which they implemented 30 networks with more than 350 or 60 companies. And the German government has now decided to make this a central pillar of their energy efficiency policy. They want to introduce 500 of these networks, and they have already started collecting commitments by different players in the sectors, associations, and different companies, big companies among them. And it's basically based on the approach that you have as I said, companies from different sectors, not necessarily competing with each other. That's actually an central aspect of these networks, and that are willing to share knowledge and experience on implementing energy efficiency, and that are willing to set a target. And this is about 4 years process, and cost 35,000 euros per company. But it brings a return, and the evaluation that was done in the last year based on that showed that the impact was very big. Just finishing up, because the time is short. I mean, what are the criteria for assessing different incentive mechanisms? I mean, what is the impact of the measure, of the incentive mechanisms? Well, how much does it cost? What's the resistance of stakeholders, the major stakeholders that have to play along in this developing this incentive mechanisms? What's the actual potential for market transformation? These are all aspects that are very important. And an assessment that was done in 2015 through all through all European member states showed that I mean, there are over 200 measures being implemented to foster energy efficiency in Europe right now. And they made actually a screening on these different measures based on these criteria. And what they found out is that the measures with the biggest impacts and with the biggest returns, if you want to say, the best measures, they came up to 56 measures, and most of them, or half of them, were financial, and all the 50 other percent, they're actually a mix of different measures, being informative, cross-cutting between sectors, informative ones. So you can see a high focus on financial measures. And what's the best fit for Ukraine? I can't answer that question. That's something that we are willing to support. We're willing to support the dialogue and to discuss this. I mean, there are very good approaches already in place or being discussed, also with the support of SAEE. There are other things that are being addressed by other donors and implementing institutions, which are all very positive developments, and that we are very much willing to support. And thank you for your attention. I hope it wasn't too long.
Good afternoon, dear participants. I have an honor to represent our work here. This is UNIDA project, which has been implemented in Ukraine since 2013. I won't speak in much detail about the foundations of this project, but this is the concept of resource efficient and clean production in Ukrainian enterprises. So we promote this clean production in through training of personnel and through offering best solutions of based on best practices. So the concept of clean production were piloted in 6 regions in Ukraine since 2012. The comprehensive technical audit, which is the basis for our approach, more than 80 enterprises became the subject of this comprehensive technical audit. Actually, all the projects which we implement, these are commercial projects. It is very positive and demonstrates a shift in mentality of our production managers who wanted to commission energy audit for their enterprises. These are statistics about potential in resource saving. This is our internal benchmarking carried out in our center. And in water consumption, the saving could be between 8 and 13%, in energy between 17 to 21. Material consumption could be reduced by 1%, and CO2 emissions between 8.5 and 20%. This is the procedure of our cooperation with all our clients. I will provide just 2 examples, just 2 cases from our projects. These are our examples what we offer to our clients. Actually, these are just very regular, very ordinary works on modernization of heating plants, boiler houses, etc. But actually, we base our projects on comprehensive energy modernization of all the buildings with which we deal. Thus, we increase energy efficiency of walls, of cellars, of foundations, roofs, etc. Especially keeping in mind the year of initial construction, because some of them are very old. This is an example of our work in a very big enterprise in Zaporizhia, where jointly with the enterprise staff we developed the steam supply scheme to suppliers. So we base our strategy on final consumer. In this specific case, there were steam mixers which used up to several tons of steam per hour, while we decreased steam consumption by 30%, and today they even went further and decided that one utilizer boilers is excessive and is not needed anymore in this enterprise. The previous case dealt with very specific equipment which requires some investments, but there are a lot of equipment which does not require any capital costs for modernization, but which can increase quality of products produced by this enterprise. For example, on this slide, you see the modernized equipment which allows brick producers to maintain more evenly spread temperature inside the brick burning furnace, and in result of more evenly distributed temperature, the quality of bricks became much higher because the bricks were heated more evenly. Maybe with this I will finish up. If you will be interested, if you are interested, I will share our experience with you. You have our contacts. I saw her representative from Kharkiv region. I would wanted to add that it's just today that our experts in water supply in Valky town found out how to improve the work of water supply equipment instead of changing it for brand new. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I'm one of the experts who got UNIDO training that was described by Igor Leonidovich here. Jointly, we're implementing a project at sugar factory, resource effective and clean production. I must say that what is very important, understanding what for all that is done. What can we provide to the sugar factory? They are all the time in the working process. They know their strong and weak sides, but in the course of work we proved that we provide benefits to them. We measured the things that they didn't have time for in their day-to-day work. As a result, we defined 16 measures, 16 activities, while we have not noticed 3 or 4 others that they were not aware for. I will show one slide and tell you more on that. Much is told about energy intensity of our industry, but when we get actual data, to achieve more than 20 or 30% is not real for enterprises. Our enterprises in the sector are quite energy efficient. They are lagging behind by 20 or 30%. That happens maybe because they are working day to day, not paying much attention to certain things, but still they're quite effective. In this slide you can see comparative figures. The current situation, the biggest one, then average situation sugar factories in Ukraine, third European sugar enterprises, and fourth is best practices. Difference is not that big. Probably this is connected with the fact that we cannot sell our products at such high price as European companies have, and that is the reason. When talking about list of questions that we discussed, most of enterprises make focus on energy efficiency. We try to review consumption of all resources that sometimes are ignored. Water, raw materials, what is average consumption per unit, and what are possibilities for saving. The more you use water, the more electricity you use to pump water, the more sewage water you have, and you pump it again. So it's very demonstrative example. Saving of consumption of raw materials. That causes reduction of use of not only water but all related other factors. And we were looking for the possibility of financing based on the defined environmental indicators. We defined 9 measures, 16 measures, 9 of which are defined by prospects of implementation. Natural gas saving and other sources. Totally 9 measures, saving of natural gas and other resources. For most of them is payback period is 2-3 years. The longest is 7 years. But it was implemented because that was the bottleneck, and sometimes they pay attention not only the period when they pay it back, but to other important factors. That's all. Thank you. I was quite brief.
It works, yes. Thank you to all the presenters for interesting presentations. You saw all the contacts in presentations which will be disseminated by the agency. The last presentation was to be done by Danone company. This is one of our partners. I just wanted to emphasize that the diary which was to be presented, which is to be presented, it is marvelous in terms of modernization scale. I hope that in future presenter will have an opportunity to come and to present this modernization, because it is really very impressive. It is an impressive systemic approach which is successfully implemented in our Ukrainian enterprise. So I encourage you not to miss the second opportunity to see this presentation next time. We are very happy to hear about this fantastic approach in Ukraine, and I would like to add a comment about improving of energy saving in Ukrainian enterprises. Energy audit was mentioned, and we believe that the top priority in state financing will be given to them in future. I hope that you will capitalize on the experience which was presented today. Thank you for your attention.